Finally, my favorite two large TVs of 2024 do battle. The 83-inch LG G4 versus the 85-inch Sony Bravia 9. Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me for this comparison of the 83-inch LG G4 W OLED with micro lens array technology versus the Sony Bravia 9 85-inch mini LED. Now, these are two of my favorite large TVs from 2024, and they're actually both my two favorite TVs in general from 2024. They just got done competing at the Value Electronics TV Shootout, where neither one of them won. The Sony A95L had a clean sweep at that competition. However, before that competition started, I shot the 83-inch G4 versus the 85-inch Bravia 9. Now, as amazing and impactful and important as the Value Electronics TV Shootout, King of TV Shootout is, it is an enthusiast reference competition. Now, any one of the competitors could have won. However, me personally, the strength of both the G4 and the Bravia 9 is HDR impact. Its brightness, its accuracy is also there, but it's more about striking impact. And that's what I want to show you today. We're going to be out of professional and filmmaker mode. We're going to wander the other presets. Again, the Value Electronics TV Shootout is amazing and very, very important for our industry. However, it does cater and is for the most professional and enthusiast picture mode, where these TVs today will wander out of. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, let's do it. Two of my favorite TVs of the year going at it. Sony Bravia 9 85-inch mini LED versus the LG G4 83-inch OLED with a micro lens array. And I've been planning this competition or battle between two of my favorites since they both launched and since I saw them both. One at CES, where I picked the LG G4 as my favorite TV of the year, and then the Bravia 9, which was known as the prototype when I saw it at CES. So, long journey from CES all the way until the Value Electronics King of TV Shootout in 2024, where I mentioned that neither the G4 or the Bravia 9 won. The Bravia 9 did win the mini LED category, but for me, it really is the overall King of TVs, which is most important, and that was won by last year's champ, the Sony A95L QD OLED. Now, special thanks to both Robert and Wendy Zone of Value Electronics and their daughter Leanne for putting on the 2024 King of TV Shootout. Please consider making your next AV purchase. Check the description below for all their information. Let them know that Brian at Brian's Tech Therapy sent you. Now, as I've mentioned, the Value Electronics King of TV Shootout is legendary. It's been 20 years and it's known throughout the world. I've been aware of it that entire time and have been involved with it for the last 6 or 7 years. As much as I respect it and love the shootout, I love being part of it, it doesn't do anything for me in regards to choosing the TV for myself. And that is something that I'm trying to convey to you guys. The winner of the shootout is done in its most accurate preset, being fully calibrated. And we are looking for them to, in my opinion, be accurate to the filmmaker's intent. Now that means a lot to me and many of you. For many of you, it means everything, but it doesn't mean everything to me. Not when it's the TV I'm going to have in my own home. It doesn't account, in my opinion, for true HDR impact. It doesn't account for anything outside of the filmmaker or professional mode or calibration for that matter. I do not watch my TVs in filmmaker mode ever. I do watch my Sonys in professional. I do feel Sony's professional mode has more impact than the other manufacturer's filmmaker mode. So that right there is something that's important to me. I also respect and like every manufacturer's different signature. Their presets to me are their signatures. They're there for a reason. Each one is where the TVs look different. When they are in filmmaker and or professional mode from all the different manufacturers, they tend to look nearly the same. I have very little interest in making the TVs look the same. They have very big differences from the panel technologies to their processors, again, and to their signatures. You'll see in all of these shots from our good friend Jennifer Gala that it's not about how the TVs match a reference monitor, it's their take on Jen's work. Meaning it's not just their capabilities, it's where the processor and the panels decide where to make things bright, where to make things look this way or that way. That to me is very important, because many of you will buy these TVs and you'll take them out of the box. You're not going to switch them to filmmaker mode. You're going to leave them either in standard, or for Samsung that would be an Eco this year. But for the most part, it's standard, which is the mix of very vibrant and somewhat accurate. They do mix those two, and it is the most popular preset for many manufacturers. Now for Sony or even LG, that might include dynamic tone mapping for LG, or live color and black adjust for the Sony, dynamic contrast at low. These little differences give the image much more punch. Even motion interpolation, some of you like those features. I am not here to judge any of them. However, you choosing your TV on the winner of the shootout with all of those settings disabled, if you are interested in those settings, doesn't really help you much in choosing which one you would like for your own home. Also, where this TV will be placed is very important. As we look at these different shots, you can see the differences in mini LED versus OLED. What I love about these two TVs is they're insanely bright. But the local dimming is excellent on the Bravia 9, especially head-on and especially at 85 inches. In many shots, the 83-inch LG4 looks brighter, especially in these darker images. It'll look brighter. It'll actually look like it's blooming. That is simply my camera trying to capture them both. Very hard on the exposure of the camera to capture these two bright TVs together without the exposure going too low. Now, I don't need to describe what you're seeing on screen as you guys are watching it. Context is very important in my videos. I'm a long form creator. These videos are made to be very long. And why is that? I get questions about that a lot. These are not reviews. I rarely do short 9-minute reviews. As for me, what I want to do is convey the context and the story of these TVs throughout the year. Not only that, give you eyes on for as long as possible. For me, I've spent more time with both the G4 and the Bravia 9 at all the sizes than most people have around, except for those who built them. And even then, I've spent more time with them. I want to be able to show you how I watch them. Now, due to copyright, I cannot show you movies. I will not risk my entire channel for that. Even paused movies are risky. So I am very fortunate to have my good friend Jennifer Gala and her second channel, HDR SUPER CHANNEL, to be able to use her content and show her content. Her content goes from 1,000 nits up to 10,000 nits. Dolby Vision is what they're actually filmed in. You can always join her Patreon and download a Dolby Vision. But her work is exquisite and very different. It's what you'll see throughout this entire video. There are a few LG demos put in there, and I'll tell you when those show up. Now the TVs themselves are going to wander in this video between standard mode and the corresponding cinema. You have Cinema Pro and Cinema Home on the LG and the Bravia 9's cinema mode. You'll see me compare those a little bit later in the video. Now the joke that I'm always whispering, you have to keep in mind that I actually don't whisper, I just don't yell, and I'm also editing this audio at about 3 a.m. on my vacation, so I might be a little bit lower in regards to my voice. I appreciate you guys being with me and watching these videos. Again, I know they're long, but as I mentioned earlier, why would you want to see less of these TVs, less of what they're capable of? 9 minutes or 10 minutes of me spouting off specs that I can read off a sheet, in my opinion, has less value than showing you 30 minutes of very high quality HDR footage that is made by a real filmmaker and artist and a team of artists that really utilizes these TVs to their fullest extent. They're not maxed at 1,000 nits. They're not low quality. Both TVs are excellent at upscaling. The Bravia 9 has the XR clear and cognitive processor, and the LG G4 has the Alpha 11 processor, new this year. So for me, it's about detail, HDR impact. Both TVs are amazing. Both of them are very bright while controlling their black levels. Obviously, the Bravia 9 is a mini LED. It is a brighter overall TV. And the way it handles, you can see how it handles even the whites here. Though the G4 is the brightest OLED in the world, there's times where the brights are strikingly bright, and there's times where they're not. That's how the TV conveys and the processor conveys this content. There's other times throughout this demo where the G4's whites are much whiter than the Bravia 9. It's really content dependent. That's very, very important. It's not low-end content, it's just how it perceives the content, how it displays it. And having different presets is important. They are perceptually matched in corresponding presets. I don't have one in vivid and one in, movie mode. The reason I don't show you the presets the entire time as a video would be an hour and a half long. But they do look different on camera. Here we are at 13 minutes. There's times where the colors will not match. The different technologies will look different on camera. The sensors of the camera will grab them differently. But the differences in brightness are there. That's what you'll see. Again, there's times where the G4 is much brighter. There's times where the Bravia 9 is brighter. They're resolving the content differently, which is what I find fascinating, especially a shot like this. Now keep the same energy. The Bravia 9's whites are very white. The G4 doesn't look that way. But circle back, you'll see footage later where the G4 is completely white and the Bravia 9 looks dim in comparison. But the fact that here I am looking at an OLED looking brighter than a mini LED in some shots is amazing. Now, this is my favorite thing to do within my videos when I'm comparing TVs, is not just I will start in both filmmaker and professional, which is where they would look similar. And then we'll go through the presets together, switching each one separately, and you'll see how different the image is. Now, in the comments, please let me know what preset do you turn your TVs into, and let me know if that's a Hisense or a TCL, a Sony, Samsung. Let me know what preset you hang out in and you watch. Very important when choosing your next TV. As I mentioned with the shootout, if you're looking for the most accurate TV in the world that matches the reference monitor, The A95L is your winner. That TV is the closest, though they're all close. That's where the shootout would really dictate your choices. Now, I'm not impressionable, and I don't want you guys to be impressionable either. If you bought any TV this year and it didn't win, please don't be thinking lesser of your purchase. If you love it, you love it. Stand by your purchase. Stand by your research. I have access to the A95L since it launched and never considered it. One, it's too small for me, but I'm also a gamer. So for me, the gaming features do lack on it, as I'm also a PC gamer. I do really like LG's signature as well. Yes, I love QD OLED, but I do like what LG has done for many, many years, especially with the Alpha 11, 144 Hz gaming, 4 HDMI 2.1, and I love the micro contrast of OLEDs. Now, the Bravia 9 is a monster. It's not because it's very bright. That's been misconstrued, even by us. It's how it takes care of brightness. It's how it resolves it. It's gradients showing each step. Like the reference monitor, instead of just pumping out 5,000 nits or 4,000 nits, it's what it can do with 4,000 nits without clipping. A lot of clipping you see within this video is really my camera trying to capture both. As I mentioned, if Jen's content was at 1,000 nits, we wouldn't have any problem. The problem is her content is well above that. So it's tough sometimes to keep up with it with the camera. I'm doing my best. Now, for me, as I mentioned, these would be my choice if I'm buying today, and I'm very close to buying the 83-inch G4. They're actually pretty low in stock right now. Now, the Bravia 9 for me is excellent for gaming and movie watching. It is not accurate to dismiss it as not a good gaming TV. To me, it is where the LG G4 is a better PC gaming TV, and the pixel response of OLEDs is superior. There's no secret there. And the Bravia 9 is maxed at 4K 120. I do have a very powerful GPU, so 144 Hz is something I can use and would use often. Now, what's interesting is in the comments, especially after the shootout, is how overrated the Bravia 9 is, or how overrated the G4 is. What I find fascinating, whether it's in forums or even in the comments of this video, is very few of you have seen these TVs in person, let alone seen them for hours and hours and hours with real content. Now, that happens in all technology and all comments of all videos, but it is funny to me is this sucks and that sucks. I hear that constantly, which is why my last video showed you every TV in the shootout and how it looked with Jen's content. They all looked phenomenal. Now, for me, OLEDs are OLEDs. They should compete with OLEDs. I'm only comparing them now because it's the end of the year. I also don't believe in putting TVs against each other their first time out. I believe they should have their time to shine. I shot the G4 in several different sizes as well as the Bravia 9 before I put them together. Now, I'm not first out there putting them together. I have no interest in being first, but I did want both of these to shine. And the shootout results don't change my opinion of any of the TVs in the lineup. I love the S95D as well, even though I didn't like the matte finish or the anti-reflective coating initially. I have warmed up to it. It's not the reason that I don't buy it. The reason I don't buy it's too small. 77 inches is the max. But I'm comfortable enough with the G4 to purchase it at 83 this year, and have no regrets if there's 83-inch QD OLEDs next year. Now we're going to go into a very bright scene, and we'll change the TVs into more of a vivid mode and see how the brightness looks different. Now, the Bravia 9 does show a pink. This one does have a tinge of pink in it. Neither one of these was calibrated. That pink, not nearly as evident when the G4 is not next to it. That I will say. But what you want to look here is how the brightness changes with each preset, especially with the G4, and how they handle their presets very different from one another. Now, in watching any of these videos, as I've mentioned, it's not about editing these things down to make them look exactly the same. I'm not changing and shooting them separately and editing them together. I have no interest in doing that. I want you to see the differences. I want you to see how they appear differently. Yes, the colors may be skewed due to the sensor, typically in shots where there's white, but for the most part, they look very similar in terms of their color, other than white. But you can see the differences in brightness in these shots. Again, there's times where the Bravia 9 looks much brighter, times where the G4 looks much brighter. That brightness disappears at certain times. One thing is for sure, the Bravia 9 could never reach the micro contrast of an LG OLED or an OLED in general, but the G4 can at times look equally bright, but it can never look quite as bright. It will lose color at the very brights. And the shootout showed it may lose color in the very dark scenes. I have not seen that outside of filmmaker mode, which is very important. Now remember, use case is what's so important. How are you watching these? What are you watching on them? Where are they going? What size do you need? What is your budget? But for me, these two are the top this year. Sony Bravia 9 Mini LED, LG G4. And I've seen the Bravia 9 go against the A95L, and you'll see that comparison again here. We'll do the 85 versus the 77. But trust me when I tell you, when you wander out of professional mode, you'll see the Bravia 9 pull ahead in certain shots. I've shown this with the S95D 3rd gen QD OLED versus the A95L 2nd gen. In filmmaker and in movie, they looked very similar. Once we got out of those presets, you saw the 3rd gen S95D pull away. Now, did it lose its accuracy in those presets? Perhaps. But the fact is, you see them look differently. You see Samsung's approach outside of that preset. That's all I'm trying to convey here. Now, I'm not an LG apologist or even a Sony apologist. I love all of these TVs this year and every year. I root for them all. Now, do I like everything? Guys, I'm pretty much reviewing the top of the line throughout the year. It's not hard, as they all are very good. And I don't trash anything. That's just not my style. I will point out where they're weak. But as far as me apologizing for the G4 or the Bravia 9, it's absurd. That's why I'm following up with these videos. I was going to do this comparison regardless of who won. I shot it before the shootout. Now here's a very interesting scene with Jen's content, is if you look at the glass, look at the exposure down a bit, the glass is brighter on the G4. Even as I bring the exposure down, it's still brighter on the G4. That's where the whites are brighter. See it again here, but look at the local dimming on the freaking Bravia 9. Excellent. Very impressive, both of them in those shots. Now these are LG's demos, some of my favorite demos here that I've cut down. I think I only used these two, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Now these are maxed at 1000 nits. And there, the LG G4 looks brighter. So again, see where they trade shots. And you saw with Jen's content with the whale and the statues, very quick movements. They both have excellent motion, though they treat that differently or convey that differently. But any TV in the shootout, Bravia 9, A95L, QN95D, G4, S95D, you could buy any one of them and take them home. If you call them garbage from the sidelines, to me, that's a little bit of ignorance there. You may not like them, but call them garbage is absurd at this level. Again, you have your opinions, you don't like them, but to call them garbage, I stopped listening after that. They're all pretty amazing and in different ways. Now at 25 minutes, what do you guys think about the differences between these two? I also want to thank the community that watches these videos live, the Premiere crew that are in those comments. Love you guys. I appreciate you watching these live with me. I premiere each and every one of my videos for the last 4 years, where we sit together and we watch them together. I want them to be long. I want you to be able to get as much experience with each panel as you possibly can. For me, there's nothing to convey with a 9-minute video other than telling you it's an 8 or a 9 or whatever it is. That's not, again, my signature and how I operate. I want you to feel like you're watching these the way I watch them. Sitting in the store for 12, 13 hours, many, many days. The Bravia 9's local dimming is off the charts, especially head on. It will bloom off angle as all mini LEDs do. They both look amazing, but the fact that the G4 sometimes looks like a very bright mini LED is insane to me. Especially comparing LEDs and plasmas over the years, where it was like a plasma was so evident that it was a plasma. It was so dark but amazing. Where early OLEDs were always like, wow, I can totally see how dim that is. This is incredible to see OLEDs that look like mini LEDs and mini LEDs that look like OLEDs. I felt the Bravia 9 went back into trying to be bright. Not quite as bright as the Z9K. I'm hoping we'll see that next year. My guess is you're going to see the A95L successor next year. However, with the win of the A95L, if I'm Sony, I'm not rushing that TV out. I can't wait to see what the other manufacturers are also going to bring. Some of the things I've already witnessed are going to blow you away next year. I can't wait to be able to talk about it with you guys. Now, this is one of LG's demos. Love this demo. All right, guys, we're nearing the end of the video at 27 minutes. What are your thoughts on these two monsters? Would you consider either one? Does the 85 and 83 inch size appeal to you? Has the shootout changed your perception of either one? Do you feel they're overrated or that they're not that good? Are you looking back at the A95L? Will you wait till next year? That's why the shootout is so amazing to have towards the end of the TV year, though we're nowhere near being done as creators. I have several more TVs to review from both TCL, Hisense, and other manufacturers that are going to surprise you. So our TV year is just kind of going to keep going all the way till CES, but the shootout is kind of like the Super Bowl. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. And what do you think about these two monsters? For me, walking out the door right now, 83-inch G4. I made that choice early in the year at CES, and nothing has changed my mind. The Bravia 9 got me very close to changing my mind. If I wasn't gaming, maybe on PC, maybe I'd change my mind. However, for me personally, mini LED's not quite there yet to pull me away from the micro contrast of an OLED. It's not even about blooming anymore. It's about micro contrast. It's about that, the blacks living within the image, living within material, not just on the edges anymore. As I lower the exposure here, you can see the depth of each one. But to me, they're all winners. Loved all the TVs we saw in the shootout, especially the Samsung Q195D, which came out of nowhere, which I'll go back and do a review on. The TV is still there, and I'll put that against the Bravia 9, both at 85. And now here we are towards the end of the video. What do you think of the footage? What do you think of the differences in brightness? I think they both look amazing, and again, seeing them and their other presets to me is very important. See how effective the local dimming is on the Bravia 9. It looks even better in film. Now the G4 clearly isn't blooming there. That's just the camera on the edges trying to capture them. All right, guys, I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. And I will see you in the comments. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. And I'll see you soon. Love you guys. Take care.
There can be only one. It's better to burn out than to fade away.